Cutting clean, accurate dados is a must for any cabinet work. The goal is little to no tear out on the dado edges and a consistent depth all along the length. You can cut dados on a table saw, but I'm going to show you a much better way. Here's a safer way to get perfect dados every time using a router and a pattern bit. To guide the router, I use a shop-made guide. My guide is made from Baltic birch, but MDF will work as well. You'll need to stack the plywood to get a 1-inch thick guide that's approximately 6.5 inches wide, and the length can be of your choosing. Mine is 60 inches long, which is suitable for most dados. The guide is marked with a straight line that shows the clear zone where I can position my clamps without interfering with the router base. The arrows point to the straight edge where the bit bearing rides. To use the guide, mark your dado positions on your stock. In this case, I want my dados 4.5 inches up from the bottom, so I make 3 marks 4.5 inches up from the bottom and place an X on the side of the mark where the dado will go. Lay the guide so it lines up with all 3 marks. I always make 3 marks for accuracy. If I only use 2 marks and one was off, I'll end up with a crooked dado. But if the guide lines up with all 3 marks, I know I've done it right. Clamp the guide in place, keeping the clamps positioned in the clear zone. Use a couple pieces of scrap plywood as spacers and clamp the second guide in position. The spacers determine the dado width, so be sure to use offcuts from the same sheet of plywood as the shelves. Now we're ready to route. To set the bit depth, place the router on the guide and adjust the bit down until it makes contact. Set the depth adjustment ring to 0. Now lift the router and adjust the router to the desired depth, in this case 1/4 inch. Before you cut your dados, make a small cut on the edge. Check the depth and make any necessary adjustments to the bit. With depth set, we're ready to cut our dado. To make the cut, make 2 passes, one against each guide. This procedure will give you a perfect dado depth every time. To cut the rest of your dados, just reposition the guides and go.